So I just played SOMA, and you're wondering if you should too. I don't know, should you? Should you? Should Okay, and yeah guys, I'm a little sick, so bear with me. Anyways, after playing Red Dead Redemption 2 for a month, then Telltale's latest Walking Dead episode, I was like, great, what the fuck do I do with my life now?
I got a plan.
I then remembered a Discord server I was in where one person constantly kept recommending a game called SOMA.
Wow.
Categorized as a science fiction survival horror game, it's not as much horror as it is what I like to call an existential crisis experience.
Hello darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Prior to playing the game, I heard that SOMA would make me think, and it did, a lot. So much so that I got fucking confused as to where I was going while exploring the depths of the North Atlantic Ocean. Don't get me wrong, it was gorgeous, but being the trash player that I was, I ended up pulling up a walkthrough every now and again trying to find the next objective. But that's besides the point. SOMA gave me a trip, possibly more for me than the average player because, surprisingly, it takes place in Toronto, where I live. As Canadian Simon Jarrett, you get into an accident which damages your brain. As a result, you were contacted by Dr. David Munchie, which, by the way, made me crave some chips due to sounding so similar to Munchie. Yum. Munchie tells you how it's time for your brain scan, which can help benefit his research on brain reconstruction and hopefully fix some of the damage in your brain to add some of those lost years back. Sounds great, right? You go to his office, which of course is suspiciously empty, but it's alright because after going through the receptionist's belongings, you crack the pin code that gets you into the lab. After meeting Munchie, you sit down for your brain scan all excited, but guess what? All of a sudden, it's like 1985 again and you're Marty McFly from Back to the Future in this bitch because guess what? You're in an entirely different place, like the future.
What the fuck? Mr. Munchie? Did something go wrong?
And now you have to figure out how and why you got here. Now, without getting too spoilery, this game is definitely worth a play. For a 2015 game, the controls and gameplay aren't bad at all, and the narrative is what really drives this game home. The monsters aren't as scary as you'd expect. Most of the time, you know there's a monster there, and you can easily avoid detection. However, they're still great enough to create and sustain tension, and definitely don't take away much from the experience. The real horrific part, in my opinion, when it comes to these monsters is knowing their backstory and how they came to be. The philosophical undertones, plot, and the dialogue really makes you think as a person and feel for Simon. And oh yes, the sound and atmosphere feel refreshingly vibrant, yet wonderfully creepy, really adding an eerie feel. The contrast between exploring the underwater abyss, filled with all kinds of fish backstory, and oh, did I mention a cute robot that you save? Aww. And the dark corridors of abandoned sites are really well done and merged together brilliantly. Aside from the ominous yet underwater Bioshock-like setting, the world is filled with tons of lore, subtle Greek references, and more that I prefer not to spoil. You as a player will at times be faced with choices you wouldn't expect, such as fisting alien vacuums to regain your health. Who am I kidding? It's more like a butthole.
Oh, that's nasty.
All jokes aside, you actually feel like what you're doing matters, and you won't want to stop playing because of how intriguing the plot is. The main question you're guaranteed to walk away with is, what does it mean to be human? Me personally, I've always been a deep thinker and was always indulging in philosophy, So upon completion of the game, I was definitely left with a few questions that got me on the edge of my seat. Most players would agree that an existential crisis would be an accurate depiction of what it's like to play SOMA, but it's one you won't regret experiencing.
Oh, hey, little guy. Didn't expect to see you again.
But that's just what I thought about the game. What do you think? Have you played it? And if so, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this episode and want me to make more, be sure to comment recommendations and subscribe. Thanks!